What does it mean to be a free human? I love this question. I've recently discovered a new video from Sorelle Amore that I've been following for years. I really love her work. I've been a student of hers because I bought her class that she created years ago called Abundancia, which was all about financial sovereignty. She answered a bunch of questions in one of her latest videos, and I believe that the quality of the questions you ask yourself define the quality of the thoughts that you cultivate inside of you. So I really love really good questions. I'm going to write them down for anyone who wants to also play that game and answer them. What's your definition of being free? Wow, that's a big one. I used to go to therapy every week in my late 20s. I'm still in therapy. I'm 42. And what was interesting is that I always came up with the topic of freedom because I didn't feel really free. And now, looking back, I understand why. Because I was very reactive. I didn't realize at that time, but I really wanted to change my surroundings instead of being able to change myself. And also, I was very much abiding by all of the rules around me so that I would be a nice person. So for me, freedom is the ability to be creative with my life and make bold choices whenever I want without having to adapt too much to the circumstances. So there is something about expressing the essence of who I am and allowing myself to live from the heart, from that space. So it has a lot to do with creativity. What is the first step to becoming a free human? Well, maybe going to therapy. Well, I'm not joking because I do believe that this is so helpful to actually walk the path of freedom, understanding where you come from and why you are who you are. What makes you you? Embracing who you are without trying to change too much, making the most of who you are and what you have, and understanding your hopes and dreams and why you're there, and allowing yourself to move forward to create whatever you want to create here in this life. How much did I sacrifice to live this life? I don't really like the word sacrifice. It's a bit dramatic. I think that we are here on earth to experience a human life and use our willpower and actually just experience making choices. And when we make choices, eventually we have to say no to certain things. So I would say that I had to say no to the fear of other people's judgment and having to live the life that I want to really live. I had to face difficult conversations with people who were contradicting me, and I had to stand up for myself. So how much did I have to sacrifice? I would say I had to stand up for myself. That would be my answer. What mindset trait do you think differentiates you from others? God, that's a hard question. Sometimes I find myself being brave, but I was not always so courageous. I think this is something like a muscle that you actually use. The more you use it, the more you have it. So I think this is what happened with me, that I had to be brave a little bit and then braver and making different choices and being bold and continuing. So I would say maybe persistence, consistency, and not dropping when things get hard one time and then two times, really keep going. I would say that differentiates me from others. Like I can see that there are a lot of entrepreneurs, for example, they will try one thing and then they will just give up whenever it gets hard. But I failed many things before I succeeded. So I would say consistency and perseverance. Next question. How do you handle pressure when you decide to live life on your own term? Well, how do you handle it? You have to live for yourself. There is a question that really helps me a lot in this life, is to imagine that at the end of this life, when I'm going to face the Creator, God, created the universe, whatever it is, when I'm going to have to be accountable for who I was and what I did, I want to be able to say that I did my best with everything that was given to me. I got the cards that I had to deal with, and it was not necessarily easy. And I want to be able to say, yeah, I make the most of it and not shy away from my choices and not make excuses like, oh, but I couldn't because there's this person which was criticizing my choices. Back then at my time, this is how people used to behave. That's not okay for me. Those choices that I make are between God and me. And this is how I relate to this pressure. But this is an interesting thing because I realized during COVID that I'm actually very much thinking by myself and making the choices that I want to make for myself. And I think it's actually a gift. When I was a child, I always felt that I was different. And then growing up, it didn't feel like a good thing that I was different because I was different from my family. And I still feel like I'm a mango that grew up in an apple tree. That's my saying. This is how I've always felt. It's nicer than being a black sheep. This is actually pretty great that I've always felt kind of different because I don't feel that I need to force myself into being an apple because I understood that it's okay to be a mango. Next question. How do you find your tribe? I think by being who you are fully, being authentic. Obviously, authenticity is something that you discover along the way. You know, the better you inquire about who you are, what you like, what you don't like, your preferences, and finding your voice, what's important to you, what are you fighting for, what are your battles, what makes you feel vulnerable, what are your desires, and how do you want to change the world, who do you want to be in this life. The more you answer those questions and the more you're able to put words on who you are and the more you are able to actually let others see you, the more you're going to find people who resonate with you. I've learned that thanks to social media because I didn't want to be on social media. I was super scared of it. And then I wrote my first book, Naturopathy for Dummies in French, in 2016. And I understood that nobody was going to read my book if I wasn't going to talk about it. So I actually started to talk about it on social media bit by bit. And I realized that I was attracting people because of who I am. So they got interested into my story. Why did I get into natural medicine? Because I wanted to heal my anxiety and my insomnia and different health issues. And then there was an entry point, you know, to get to know each other with the people who started to enter my community. And then some people became friends. And then I went to events and to trainings and I joined some groups of people who were aspiring to also create something beautiful and help the world. So I would say that the more I became myself and that I let myself being seen, the more I found people with the same interests and the same wish to make a difference in the world. How do you overcome fear that stops you from pursuing your dream life? Well, I think you befriend fear at some point. I used to be afraid of everything. I used to be so anxious. And I've discovered something, a tool that has helped me a lot. On top of therapy and meditation technique and sophrology, I learned EFT. EFT is short for Emotional Freedom Technique, also called tapping. And when you tap on yourself on different acupuncture points, what you do is actually you're facing what you're experiencing emotionally, whether it's sadness or anger or fear, and then you tap on it and you just inform your energetic system that it's okay if the emotion flows through you instead of having it crystallize inside of you and freeze you so that you cannot move forward. You're actually letting it flow through you, and then you can acknowledge that there are other perspectives to the situation, and then you can see some things shifting and it just turns around, and you can acknowledge that other realities can coexist, and you can choose to create something else using the emotions, which are actually energy in motion. So that's been super helpful for me to use this tool. And today I'm still afraid of doing things, you know. I think that it's normal, it's part of being human, but I don't let it freeze me for a very long time anymore, which is a big difference. So I would say just acknowledge that fear is a part of life, especially every time that you step outside of your comfort zone, that you're going to have to face something different. Just find a way to befriend your fears and to not let this emotion hold you back. How do you unlock passive income and manage finances effectively? Well, that's a big one. I had to learn along the way that there is very little passive income. Actually, you always have to do something in order to get it and in order to continuously get it. You know, you have to be a smart investor. You have to know when to pull back, when to put more or less. It's just super interesting journey. Fascinating for me because I think I cracked the code to make money with my talents and who I am. I didn't yet fully crack the code to make money with my money, which is something that I'm currently learning. So how do you do that? You have to get financially educated, which is a big piece. A lot of people are dreaming about being lucky, but for me, being lucky is actually being able to get ready, doing the inner work, and seizing opportunity. And I think that's the same with love. You know, you don't magically find the love of your life. Yeah, you can be lucky to find great people on your way, but usually it's because you know who you are, you know what you want, and then when you meet someone, you actually express it and you say, hey, I like you. And then you have the skills to be able to keep the love. So I believe that this is how it happens. And I think it's the same with money. I think there are a lot of things which are very similar between love and money. How do you unlock passive income? I think first you need to learn how to make money so that you have money to invest. And then you need to do try and errors. You need to try stuff. After a while in my company, I hired someone to help me. So now I have a CFO and he helps me figure out where to put the money so that it keeps compounding and so that I can create the brightest future. And find people who've already done it so that you get to ask them questions. So it's all about curiosity and figuring out how you can also do it and believe in it and make things happen, step into actions. It's not only wishful thinking. By the way, I'm Anne-Claire Méret. I'm a coach. I also teach coaching. I have written multiple books, including Millionaire from the Heart, available in French and in English, in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. You can find my online programs available on my website. Some of them you can do all year long, and some others are seasonal, so stay tuned and you can put your email on the wait list of the one that you might want to join. I live in Bali. I created this beautiful life by asking myself powerful questions, which led me to create a different reality and really going for it and daring to live greatly. And today I believe that I can be the change that I want to see in the world. And I used to not think this way. And today I would love for everyone to understand that it is possible to be creative and less reactive, and to use our talents to really occupy our rightful place and create also abundance along the way. But not only that, but make a difference in the world just because of who we are and what we embody on earth. Next question. How do I afford this lifestyle financially? Well, I do have a pretty epic lifestyle because I live here by the beach in a house that I bought last year, cash. If you would have told me that 10 years ago, I would not have believed you. So how do I afford this lifestyle? I worked pretty hard to be where I am today. But I worked hard from the heart. I worked hard on my limiting beliefs, and I also did a lot of things. I wrote many books, I put many programs out there, and I've trained hundreds of coaches. I just did it. Maybe one question that would be interesting to add is, how did I pay for these transitions? You know, how did I dare to live abroad? How did I train to get new skills and be the entrepreneur that I am today? I had multiple jobs. And I was smart because I was trading skills already a long time ago. Like, I know how to do this, you know how to do that. Let's get together and swap skills. So I did that quite a bit in my late 20s, and it helped me figure out how I could be living this lifestyle. So I was a bit of a bohemian for a little bit. And these were beautiful years, although I was pretty stressed about not figuring out exactly how I would make a living for a long time, especially coming from a family with a background of being civil servants with the same salary their whole life working for the government. But somehow I made it. I made it through because I knew that there would be something beautiful in the end if I kept being consistent. How do you stop being afraid of making the wrong decisions? Well, a long time ago, I understood that there is no right and wrong decisions. There are only experiences. And you can have pleasant experiences or less pleasant experiences. But all of them will help you figure out who you are and what you want to do in this life. So I would say that there is no wrong ones. What did you do daily to get you to where you are? That's a great question. One of the main things that I've been doing quite a bit the past 10 years is to put my head on the passenger seat and my heart on the driver's seat. Life is so much greater than I used to think. And this is my ability to feel the energy of life flowing through me and to understand what is right for me, this flow of energy flowing through me that can take me into really new dimensions. And if I'm afraid, if I'm tense, and if I bring back too much of control, then I'm gonna miss an opportunity to create something absolutely magnificent. So I had to understand that, okay, when am I in my heart? When am I not in my heart? Which circumstances bring me back to my heart? How can I cultivate that? And then from that space, just allowing greatness to flow through me and be curious about what's going to happen and be willing to follow the heart a little bit more every day. So that's something that I've been doing every day. How do you find the discipline to keep going without slipping back into the easy day job? Well, I don't know if this question applies to me, but I got fired when I was 29 and I was looking for a similar job so that I could find something, secure, but I didn't find another job. And for several years, I was an entrepreneur trying to make ends meet, but at the same time, I was still applying for jobs and I didn't find any. So I would say, did not slip back into the easy day job? I didn't find any. So I had to keep going and I had to make it work. So I just had different jobs and I made it, I survived the few years of transition into creating what I really wanted to create from the core of who I am. How to start? Well, I don't know, because I got fired. I would say that this was my kickstart. But it's not only that. I was also very much in pain in my 20s. I was in pain because I was not addressing my insomnia and my anxiety the right way. So therapy helped me, and then discovering natural medicine helped me. I would say start from what hurts you. If there is something that's itchy in your life, find solutions for that. Like for me, I was aspiring to inner peace and to find my way to harmony, more harmony in my life. Not having to fight for everything and just being relaxed inside of me. Because this is what I was aspiring to, and because I was living more and more like that, I could open up to different ways of being. And in that space, new possibilities opened for me. It's very interesting because at first I was not looking for financial freedom. I was looking for freedom and peace. And from there, I blossomed and I created financial freedom. So I'm very, very blessed. And I know a lot of people who actually achieved financial freedom and then look for inner peace. But my journey was the opposite way around. Where does your money come from? Well, my money comes from my work. I started as a naturopath. After a few failures as an entrepreneur, when I finally finished my studies as a naturopath, I practiced in 2 different places in Paris and a little bit online. And then I wrote books and then I created online programs and I started to teach. And this is how I built my wealth. So step by step, I've helped countless people online to heal and to feel better within themselves. And then I started to help entrepreneurs and I started to just grow a community, which is not even that big, but I made it from the heart, creating things to help others. It's funny because I didn't know about all the strategies and the marketing and everything. I had to learn that later on. But I was very eager to share everything I learned to help others. And I believe that this passion creates a sort of magnetism, and then the people get attracted to what you offer when you really do it from the core of who you are. When there is such a potent energy, then people find you. People who are looking for what you offer, they will ultimately find you. What were some of the hardest decisions you had to make on your path to freedom? Probably being seen, allowing myself to be seen. I had the dream of being successful without being seen, being discreet, staying discreet. And I remember I signed up for an event in Paris just after I wrote my first book, and it was for successful entrepreneurs who were discreet, basically. Every coach on stage on that day all said the same thing. You need to learn that actually being seen is safe. And I was pretty upset. Actually, I wrote to the organizer of the event and I said, this is a lie. You didn't teach us how to succeed being discreet. You just wanted us to learn how to be seen. And I was not ready to face that. It took me a few more months to acknowledge that I was actually making my choices from a place of fear instead of from a place of expansion and a place of inner safety. And just from the heart. So this is something that I had to work on. So I worked on that piece in therapy, in coaching, and I found a great coach, a guy which worked in theaters, and he used to help people who had written theses that they had to present, like nerds, that they had to present in front of a crowd so that they would be ready to present their beautiful memoir and get their diplomas. So he helped me figure out how I could create connections so that I could be less shy about talking in public. So that's one super hard decision that I had to make on my path for freedom. And I would say maybe another one that I had to make is I was very much in love with someone in my early 30s, and I was very strongly connected to my life purpose and understanding that I had to serve with my life experiences and that I really wanted to help others and to grow as a human being by doing that. And this guy that I was seeing, that I thought was the love of my life, didn't understand why I would put so much effort and love and time and energy into building my business. But not only my business, it feels to me that it's a legacy for the world to share everything I've learned. So I had to choose me, and at that time it was super difficult. But then I understood later on that I could not betray myself. It's a part of me. It's so important. I never regretted it because afterwards I met beautiful partners who understood why it's so important to me and started to be really supportive of my journey. And thanks to them, I feel that I can spread my wings and I have a home base where I feel loved and anything is possible. Did you always knew that you would succeed? No, I did not. And I was very much afraid of failing. But in the same time, I felt that I had nothing to lose because I didn't have much. So that was actually a gift. Now that I am who I am today, I think that maybe we get messages from the future. I had a pretty crappy childhood where I was very depressed and felt misunderstood. And I wonder if maybe the person that I am today was able to talk to who I was back then. You know what I mean? That with all the healing work that I did with the inner child, maybe Anne-Claire as an adult was able to send messages to Anne-Claire as a child. And I wonder if maybe Anne-Claire as a young entrepreneur got messages from Anne-Claire as a more experienced entrepreneur later on, which was maybe sending dreams or maybe sending just the feeling of keep going, because there is more for you if you don't give up. Quantum physics says that time does not exist. It's just a construct. So I would say that I got some help from future me who probably helped me understand that, yeah, if I keep doing it, things will unfold beautifully. One thing that I've done also quite a bit is connecting to the brightest future possible. You know, imagine that you have different timelines which are possible. I always try to tune into the brightest future, thinking, okay, if I were to blossom within 10 years, what would it look like? The most blossoming version of me, happiest, healthiest, wealthiest version of me. Then I would tune into this energy and the qualities of being of this person. Who is she and how did she grow these qualities? And then what are her skills and what's her environment? So what choices did she make? So I worked a lot on that and it's been super helpful to me. How do you know when you're ready to take the leap? I think if you're here watching this video, it means that you're aspiring to more freedom. So it means you're probably more ready than you think you are. Is it worth sacrificing my partnership for that? Well, I have no idea. But there is something that's been helpful to me and maybe it can be helpful for you. It's to ask yourself the question, who do you want to be? And what do you want to create in this life? Who do you aspire to be as a person? How do you want to serve the world? In order to become this person, who do you want by your side? And if the person that you're currently seeing is an asset to build yourself as this person, you know, to become who you want to become, then it's wonderful. And if you feel that the person who is by your side is just a distraction and that it's not someone that is going to be there on the long run, then maybe you should make a decision. I don't know if it's helpful for you, but it's always been helpful to me. Voila! I've answered all the questions. I hope it's been helpful for you and that you can also reflect on those questions and that you can also find your way to more freedom in every areas of your life. It's probably a lifelong journey. We will only know at the end how free we've been. but we can always make beautiful choices on a daily basis to get closer to that. If you'd like to dive deeper, I'm going to offer you the first chapter of my book, Millionaire from the Heart. And this first chapter is specifically about how to live from the heart and actually to tap into who you really are and to understand what's really important to you, to really act from the right space. I really want to live in a world where more people understand that they can be freer in every area and actually that can seize their creative power to create something different for humanity. Quite often I look at who we are collectively and I think, oh God, I think we could do better. But we can only do better if we take a breath, if everybody gets inward and figure out by themselves what it means to be freer and more creative. And then collectively together, we can create a big tsunami of change. And this is actually my big why I do what I do on a daily basis. So if you've enjoyed this video and you want more of this type of content, please feel free to follow my channel and put a thumbs up and also comment below this video and let me know what you would like me to talk more about. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.